Welcome to the Good Ride. This is the Never Summer Proto Swift DT, and I'm here to give you an honest, objective breakdown on how this board rides. So I rode this with my Union Force bindings and my Nitro Team BOA boots. It was one of the worst seasons on record here at Mount Bachelor, but I did get this out in 3 days, mainly firm but fair to firm and uneven. And I compared this against the Jones Frontier, the United Shapes Horizon, the Libtech DPR, and the Armada Sicko, and you can see those comparisons on Patreon and YouTube for paid members. When it comes to sizing, this 56 fit me a lot better than I thought it would for my size 9 boots, handled my weight no problem, and was a good size for my height. Here's the thing though, the 160, even though it's 4 centimeters longer, is only 1 millimeter wider overall. So I think this 160 would fit me really well too. Let's talk construction, starting with the base here. Never Summer always makes pretty good bases. They have good glide, they have pretty good wax retention, not the best, but better than a lot out there. Then from edge to sidewall, there is excellent construction going on here. And then this top sheet is one of my favorite in the industry, and it's such a long-lasting board. It's also not super heavy either. Now let's talk shape. This is tapered and directional with 5 millimeters of taper in the tail. This has a more tapered feel than you would think. You're riding this a little set back on board, but overall pretty centered when you set up on the normal inserts. But when you set it all the way back, that's starting to get into that free ride realm. And this is right on the border between all mountain and free ride. I'm calling it free ride just because it feels a little more tapered and directional and has more setback than most Never Summer all mountain boards. And when it comes to the camber profile, you have Never Summer's recurve camber. That is basically camber from just a little bit before the tail, going well past the inserts, and then starts to early rise up a little bit before the nose. And then in between the feet, there are these passive camber bends that don't come back all the way down to the board. So it feels like there's more camber, but it still feels pretty forgiving. It's not that locked in. An intermediate on up to an expert could ride this and it won't feel too technical, too catchy, but also won't feel boring. And of course, this tracks super well, one footing and flat basing, and has a very stable, predictable, easy to get to know feel in all conditions. So when it comes to edge hold, there's a multi-radius side cut that also seems to have a mild disruption. And then when put into play with this camber profile, when you're weighted down, you have more contact points. They engage with the snow more, so the grip is near excellent. And what I like about the DT is I never felt it grabbing in soft snow much or at all. Let's talk Proto Swift DT Flex. It's more on the medium stiff side, but there's a little more give where the camber ends, and it's okay to butter on the tail. The nose is a little softer, and the same thing happens as you come in past the rocker, you feel it start to stiffen up. And it's got a very good ollie to it. It really pops easy. And when it comes to uneven snow, Never Summer makes a damper board than most other brands out there. So while this doesn't have a super high dampness rating, the Proto Swift DT handles that hard, micro bumpy, uneven snow incredibly well. And then if you get this into soft, uneven snow, this can handle it no problem as well. And when it comes to ride and switch, if you're set up more centered on board, you can take this either direction really well. There is a little bit of that tapered feel in here, but it's very easy to get to know. This is a great board for getting air. There's a lot of tail behind you, a lot of landing gear. If our pipe was open, this would be the kind of board I'd like to ride in the pipe. And if you like to jib, there are much better boards out there. Now, when it comes to turning, The Never Summer Proto Swift DT is really quick edge to edge, especially for this width. Even though you're not super set back towards the tail, this is the kind of board that I could ride in a tight tree line, in steep, tight, critical spots, and feel very comfortable with. And then when you get this edge committed and you really engage into a harder turn, this camber has such good spring. I could front foot, center weight, or back foot weight my turns really well. I did feel a little bit of that taper sometimes, but overall, I think you can turn this board any way you please. And then the turning experience is more on the tourney side of balance. You can circle carve if you want. Across the groomer carves are super fun. Medium radius turns are super fun. And then when you start going into more down the line, longer, narrower, drawn out S-turns, it's not its strong point, but it's very comfortable. And if you want to point it, there are better boards out there because this is a little bit of a turny side cut, but it's still not going to fight you if you want to just flat base it and go all out. And when it comes to powder, I love these Setback inserts. You need a full-size disc binding to use these, but if you have one, you can set it back and get really good directional float at a very useful 21.75 inch stance width.
This is better than most all mountain boards and about there with most free ride boards.
And overall, I think this DT is really special, and my only real criticism from this board is I just wish there was more sizing. I think Never Summer did a great job with the DT.